Whew. Save. Tiffany, 이러면서 name, 이어님, 고양이 집사님, 룰루님, 유니스님, 장정희님. Hopefully we don't have buffering anymore. I made a small change in my setting. Hopefully it's better than what we had going on before. What is this? Oh, that's odd. Okay. Hey Jenny, Minnie. Things are looking okay now. Think now it's all settled. Okay. I don't know what was. I don't exactly understand why it was causing the problem before, but it looks as though things are looking better now. I think. Yeah. I think things are looking better now. Okay. Hey, how's it going? How you guys holding up? How are you guys holding up? Everything okay? Oh, man. I had to shovel so much snow yesterday. Well, not so much yesterday. My wife did most of the snow shoveling yesterday, I think. But today, oh my gosh. Oh, yeah. I can barely raise my arms right now. Okay, let's see. How's everybody doing? Plan to go to Lotte World tomorrow? Really? With your kids? 걸어서 출근 발에 물집이. Oh, that sounds horrible, 배현주님. How do you say 물집 in English? And how do you say 물집이 잡히다 in English? Hi, snow a lot. It's okay there. It's well, I mean, I've been trying. My neighbors and I, we've been trying our best to, keep the road clear from snow. It's been a lot of work. Even though you barely keep your arms now, you decide to stream. Admire your passion. Well, I didn't want you guys to get lazy. So, yeah, got blister. Yeah, blisters. You can say I got blisters on my foot. I'm doing well. I think you're hurt. You were hurt your arms cleaning snow. I didn't really hurt my arms, but they do feel very sore. They do feel very sore. You know what that means, right? They feel very sore from all the... Because, I'm not a very strong guy, in case you guys haven't noticed. I'm not a very strong guy. I don't have a lot of muscles. And so I really had to do all the shoveling just purely with my spirit. Purely with dedication and determination and my spirit. It's really taken a lot out of me. It's really taken a lot out of me. Whoops. Hold on a second there. Let's see. It's taken a lot out of me. Oh, my hoodie? Oh, thank you. You can actually see my hoodie? Oh, guns. Okay, there it is. You can see it, right. On my way drive home, I almost got trapped. 논두룩. I don't know what 논두룩 is, but yeah, I mean, a lot of people are getting stranded. They're getting stranded. Do you guys know what that means? Get stranded? Have you heard of this? Get stranded? Oh, this is the chair that I was talking about. you know, I got a couple of new chairs. I got one for my office and one for home. And it has a headrest that I can adjust. And my doctor told me to like always try to keep the back of my head on the headrest, and that will it's not going to take care of everything for good, but it will improve my overall posture when I'm sitting. So it looks pretty expensive. Yeah, I guess you could. Oh, actually, no. This chair from IKEA, I don't know if you can see. Wait, hold on a second. This chair here that you can see on my side, this is the chair that No. It's not this. This is something else. The chair that's in my office. The chair that I was using up until just a few days ago, it's in my office right now. That is really expensive. That was almost $500,000, I think, if I remember correctly. It was almost $500,000, and it was really giving me a hard time. And so this is actually a lot cheaper. Well, maybe not a lot cheaper, probably like half the price of what I have in my studio. And anyway, but considering the price, it's actually pretty good. How you guys holding up? I hope you all are safe, because I've heard a lot of people getting stranded. Does anybody know what this means? Getting stranded? 길을 헤매다? No, it's a little bit different. Getting stranded is kind of like getting stuck. Getting stuck somewhere and not being able to move to a different location. You're stuck in one place. Yeah, getting stranded. Wait, I'm not exactly sure though. Here, let me I'm not exactly sure if you can use this. Meaning of getting stranded. Getting stranded means being stuck in a place. Okay, so no. No, that's getting settled. That's getting settled, and what I'm talking about is getting stranded. It means you're stuck in one location, you can't move to a different location. Yeah. Yeah. 뉴욕에서 인사드려. You're in New York. Happy Thanksgiving. Okay, well, we don't really have Thanksgiving here in Korea. Wait, do we have something similar? We have, I guess Chuseok is kind of similar here, but anyway, yeah, happy Thanksgiving. Hi, Sam. It's so much snow. Today is a long day since I shoveled snow for 2 hours. Hey, I feel your pain, dude. I feel your pain. Like, oh my gosh. I never really felt envious of people living in apartment buildings, although I'm sure they have their, I'm sure that living in apartments comes with its own own fair share of troubles and hardship. But oh man, having to do all the snow shoveling myself is really a pain. It is really a pain. Yeah, good. 발이 묶이다. Yeah, getting stranded. Although I think 발이 묶이다 is a more broader term, I think. So, for example, you can be 발이 묶여 because of a lot of different things like work. Like you can 발이 묶여 because of work, because of, I don't know, because of like obligations and responsibilities. But being stranded is more of an environmental issue. Something like an accident. Maybe you had an accident. Stuff like that. Uh-oh. 정형외과 가서 신경치료 주사 맞고 누워 있어요. Oh no. Oh no. That really doesn't sound good. You actually heard and felt. Did you break something? I hope you didn't break anything. Like maybe like a hairline fracture or something? Like a hair fracture? Is your spine okay? Hi, actually I can't imagine the weather of Korea because I've been staying in Australia. Oh, how long have you been in Australia? Unable to leave somewhere because of a problem such as not having any transport or money. Right, okay. That's right. stuck. 제설차 goes 부릉부릉 in my town. That's good. It's good that you live in an environment. See, the snow removal vehicles, snow plowers, I guess you call them, snow plowers, they don't come all the way to my neighborhood because these roads that leads up to my building, it's considered a private property. So, can I use get stranded in case of traffic jam? Usually when it comes to traffic jam, people just call it getting stuck, being stuck in a traffic jam. Yeah. Being stranded is a bit more, yeah. If you're stranded, it means you have no way of leaving. Yeah. Hey, Jungshwani, what's up? How you doing? It's snowing in Seoul right now. Is it? Oh, is it? Is it snowing in Seoul right now? I don't know. I'm not in Seoul. Can anybody in Seoul tell us? Is it snowing? Is it snowing? Hey, YG, what's up? How you doing? We expect much snow in DC as well. Oh, that's horrible, isn't it? 뭐가 빠진 듯한 소리. Oh, that's... Oh, ouch. It sounds so painful. Number 4 and 5 disc. 디스크라네요. 이제서야 알게 된. Oh, okay. I'm really sorry to hear that. I hope they can take care of that soon. How long of a treatment are they looking at? I related to you. Cleaning snow was really 중노동. I love only watch snow, but when I have to clean it feels like 악마의 비듬. And I think the snow this time around was just so much worse because I don't know exactly why or how that happens, but the snow the snow was just so much heavier than usual. They say that it's because it contains a lot of water. It's the snow that we're having right now is holding a lot of water in it, and I don't know why that happens, but that seems to be the case, and it's just making everything so much worse. My flight got canceled twice. Hey, Kayleen, it's been a while, and I barely made it home. Oh, so you did make it home. That's good. Everybody take a good hard look at this sentence here. I barely made it home. Because I know you guys are very confused with barely, hardly, and rarely. And so anytime you see that word being used correctly, of course, then you got to really take note of it. Okay? You guys know what I'm trying to say? Anytime you come across the word barely, hardly, or rarely being used correctly, you gotta take note of it, okay? So I'm just gonna write that down here. So I barely made it home. Yes, this is correct because it means she did. She did make it home, but by barely. Okay? That means it was a success. Eventually, she succeeded, but it was really hard. It either took a lot of time or a lot of effort, or in a lot of cases, both. Yes, that's right. What? Did anybody get hurt? Or did it happen overnight? Like, it happened... Oh my gosh. I envy you. That's... okay, so having a day off is nice. That's sweet, but... I mean, there's going to be a lot of work to do afterwards, right? Man City barely wins. Man City barely wins these days. It's not like the team they used to be. Okay, I don't know what Man City is. Man City is the name of the team? Barely wins these days? Okay. Okay, so I think in this sentence you're trying to say that they don't win a lot of games, right? So in this case, we would use hardly. Man City hardly wins these days. Okay? I don't... That's an odd name for a team. Okay. Hardly wins these days. Okay. I had no plan that day. I have no plan that day. I stay home all day with beer. My husband will go to work. Which day are you talking about? My husband was sick in the Incheon airport for 2 days and finally left. He is on the board now coming to Canada. Oh, he got sick and he was stuck at the Incheon airport for 2 days? Is there somewhere he could stay at the Incheon airport for 2 days? Do they have some sort of a medical facility there? Oh, I mean, I'm guessing they have to, right? Wow, I don't think I've ever heard anybody going through something like this before. Okay, so 지붕이 무너지다. What's the verb that we use? 지붕이 무너지다. What's the verb we should use for 무너지다? Collapse, right. So 지붕, I mean, technically when you say 지붕, that's the roof. But in this case, I'm kind of guessing that maybe the guy was talking about the ceiling, maybe? It could be the roof or the ceiling, I guess. Collapsed. The roof or the ceiling collapsed. Good. Our school canceled the classes for 2 days because of the crazy amount of snow. That's good. I think they should do that. They should extend the canceled classes for like a week. We need like a week, don't we? I mean, it's for safety reasons, you know? No one got hurt? Whoops, what's this? Wait, can I close this? What did I push? Damn it. Oh, I can, okay. It's because you're not expected to rely on your memory. When you're using a language, when you're trying to talk, you shouldn't expect yourself to be able to load what you have memorized. No, it doesn't work that way. Just whatever you're used to, whatever you're familiar with comes out at that very moment. So the problem is not because you can't remember what you learned or memorized in the past. The problem is you don't have enough experience with it to be familiar with it enough to be able to just use it instantaneously, right? And so what you need is experience. You need to spend more time using English. Just so we're clear. Yes, I heard that many flights have been canceled because of the snow. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Not surprised at all. Good evening, Sam. At this point, I might as well just change my English name to Sam. How convenient would that be, right? It is left one day Black Friday. Okay, so 이렇게 하는 게 맞는지 모르겠네요. 배웠던 것 같은데요. Okay, that's a good question. Can someone help? Can someone fix this, please? How do we say this correctly? Okay, JC says 1 day away from. That's good. Is there another way? Black Friday is 1 day away, right? Right, we say 1 day left. Now, how do you put that in a sentence? How do you use that in a sentence? There's 1 day left, okay? Right, so there's 1 day left and we have 1 day left. Right, so there's only 1 day left. Black Friday. What's the preposition that... Whoops, sorry about that. So what's the preposition that goes here? There's only 1 day left. Until. Very good. There's only 1 day left until Black Friday. Of course, we can say we have 1 day left until Black Friday. All that is good. Yep, before works too. Right. but I think my mom isn't happy with the calling of classes. Calling of classes? Not sure what that means. You mean the cancellation? Oh, the calling off. Right, with the calling off of classes. Of course, because then wait a minute. What grade are you in? Are you in university or what? Snow beautiful, but it gets dirty, right? It gets extremely dirty. That's right. A day away. Sam, I was wondering how the comments pops up on the screen immediately as you mention it. Well, I'm clicking on your comments. So I'm looking at the chatting window, the chat window, and when I click on, anyone's chat, it pops up on the window like this. It is a extension. It's an extension plugin for Chrome, for the Chrome browser. It's Thanksgiving Day here, today here. Oh, okay. Today is Thanksgiving. It's like one of the biggest holidays in America, right? Just one day away now, right? Oh, you're in high school. Okay, I see. Are you a junior? Oh, wait, junior? Is that right? No, there's no junior. There's only freshman, sophomore, and senior, right? Are you a sophomore? Oh, you're a senior. Okay, so you took the test this year. Okay, cool. All right. I wonder if you have any Christmas rituals. No, I have none. None at all. After Thanksgiving get-together, they go shopping. After Thanksgiving get-together, they go shopping. Who goes shopping? Everybody? There's one day left until Black Friday. Actually, I didn't know that there was a specific day that they referred to as Black Friday. I thought Black Friday was just, of course the word is there, Friday, right? But I thought it was just a way for them to refer to like a period of time in which they, have huge discounts on products. I thought it was just referring to a period of time rather than just a specific day. It's interesting to learn that there's actually a specific day that they refer to as Black Friday. Oh, your question? Hold on a second. Give me a second. Let me go back and find it. Your question. How far back do I have to go? I'm not seeing it. Where is it? Does anybody know where it is? 거의 바로 위에 있다고요? Oh, okay. Wait, hold on a second. Summer. Oh, here it is. Okay. Is that the chair you mentioned the other day? Yes, it is. It's one of the chairs that I mentioned the other day. Because I bought 2 chairs, but not the same type. Because this chair, the chair that I have in my studio, it doesn't go as low as this one. This one goes pretty low. And there are other differences as well, but I just thought if I'm going to buy 2 chairs, why don't I just try it? Because they had a lot of chairs there. They have so many different types, ranging from, fairly cheap ones to very, very expensive ones. And so I thought, what's the point of, buying 2 chairs? Why don't I just try 2 different types of chairs, right? Why would I buy why would I buy the same type of 2 of the same type? So I don't know. That was my thought process there. Good to know that kind of extension is it. Thank you so much. Yeah. I think it's called, forgot what it's called. Sam, do you have any memories of Thanksgiving when you lived in America? No, we did not really celebrate Thanksgiving. Although we always had huge events at school. Oh, wait, was that something different? Such a long time ago. Such a long time ago, I can hardly remember. My son's birthday is always during Thanksgiving holiday in the U.S. I think he's lucky. Yeah, so, he's kind of, well, but then again, I guess it depends on how you look at it. I mean, the whole holiday atmosphere and all the celebration that happens around that time, it kind of overshadows his special day. You know what I mean? I mean, of course, I mean, if, you know, it doesn't have to be, like I said. Depends on how you look at it. In America, is the Black Friday such a big thing? Such a big thing? I think so. Yeah, now that I think about it, when I was in the U.S., which was like, what is that, almost 30 years ago? Is it more than 30 years ago? I think it's about 30 years ago. I mean, there was no such thing as Black Friday, as far as I understand. Something that, yeah, you can adjust the height of those chairs. Yeah, you can adjust the height of most chairs. Most chairs that are not just made of wood and nails, you can adjust the height. Even the one I had in my office, yeah, I can adjust the height. But the problem with the desk that I have in my studio is that it's fairly high. It's it's a lot higher than this, and my seated position is not that high, so I always have to raise the chair quite a bit when I'm in my studio. And the chair I had before, it just happened to be very uncomfortable when you keep the chair raised high. And so that's one of the reasons I replaced it with another one. There's only 2 days left until December. You are right, sir. How usually American rest Thanksgiving holiday vacation? How usually American rest Thanksgiving holiday? You know, you mean like how do they spend their Thanksgiving holiday? Thanksgiving is a very, very family-oriented holiday. People spend time with their family. They usually have like a big feast. It's not very different from the Chuseok holiday that we have in Korea. The family members usually get together and they have a huge feast. And they gain at least like 2 kilograms over the holidays. I thought you usually do streams in your new office more than your house. Well, I was gonna, but then, you know, I was just out to have dinner with my wife, and the roads are really bad. And my office, my studio happens to be in a building where there's quite a bit. It's very hilly in that area, and so there's in weather like this, it's very not safe. And I actually wanted to stream from my studio today, but my wife insisted that I do it at home. So. 항상 Thanksgiving을 엄청 챙기길래 쌤 추억이 궁금했어요. Yeah, I'm Korean. Korean, it's more of a Western thing. So, I mean, like I said, it's not very different from the Chuseok holiday that we have. Can't believe it's almost December. Yep, time flies. Overshadow? Yeah, overshadow. So, yeah, overshadow. It's a good word to use. One day I want to try Thanksgiving turkey. It's kind of my bucket list. I heard a lot of turkey isn't that good, though. A lot of anything isn't that good, right? I think it's really difficult to cook a good turkey. I mean, think about it. Even just regular chicken, it tends to get really dry, and especially when it comes to the breast area. I mean, it's really hard to make the meat juicy, and it's really hard to get all that flavor into the meat, right? Especially like inside of the meat. So from what I've seen and what I've heard, it's really difficult to cook a good turkey because turkeys are usually bigger than regular chickens, right? So instantaneously what was the word that you used a few times? Instantaneously? I'm not sure about the spelling. Is this right? I don't know if the spelling is correct. I think, oh shoot, I don't have anything to drink. 뭐에서 터키랑 크랜베리 들어간 거 먹고 불프에 쇼핑가요? Oh, is that what you guys do? How did you manage to walk from the office to your home in the middle of the night on a street covered with snow? Nice and steady. I took nice and steady steps. Slowly, focusing on every step, making sure I don't slip. Not that hard. And I was wearing proper shoes. So it wasn't that hard, actually. when it comes to very icy roads, walking is a lot easier than driving. Wouldn't you agree? You don't want to try it. Turkey is not my thing. Big-sized meat, it takes forever to bake. Yeah. I'm not sure if saying baking a turkey is correct. Is that the correct way to refer to it? Baking a turkey? I cooked a turkey for about 5 hours. Very tricky. Very, very tricky. Yeah. And you have to have an oven if you want to cook a proper turkey, right? Name. How long does it take from your home to the office? On foot, this was actually the first time. Yesterday, it was more like early this morning, past midnight. But so this was the first time that I actually walked from my home to the studio and back. I didn't really check the time, but it felt like 15 minutes on foot. Yeah, but when the weather isn't this bad, I'm sure it's going to take a lot less than that. But with the roads being super slippery with snow and me very cautiously taking my steps, it felt like 15 to 20 minutes. Yeah. 쌤, 제가 여기서 이런 질문을 해야 하는지 한국말로는 문맥상 어떻게 내가 알겠어를 영어로 하면 How do you know? 내가 알겠어? 어떻게 내가 알겠어? 를 영어로 하면 How do you know? 라고 말을 하던데 이건 How can I know? 라고 okay, it's a little confusing. Wait, 제가 영어 중 제일 헷갈리는 것은 주어를 I로 쓰고 무작위 대상을 you를 쓰는 것이 잘 이해가 안 가요. 조금만 설명해 주세요. So you're asking about, hold on a second, because I'm having a little hard time understanding what you're asking here. How would I know? Or how should I know? All right. Because so I'm adding this information because I think context is important. So when we say this, because sometimes we're really asking how they know, but yeah. So in this case, we would say, how would you know? How would you know? How would you know? Oh, and of course, I think part of the sorry, I think part of the question was not specifically you or I, but anybody. Right? If this is what we're trying to say, I guess you could say, how would anybody know? How would you know? So I think what you're asking, the later part of your question, was, so in this case, 네가 그걸 어떻게 알아? Is you. And here, we're not specifying a specific person, right? We're not specifying a person. We're just saying, how would anybody know? In this case, we can also use you. So I think part of the question was, how do we distinguish the use of you in the context of a random person and you, actually you, through experience? There's no way, there's nothing that I can say here. Even if I were to try to explain this for 2 hours, and I don't know, maybe I just can't do it myself, but I believe that there is nothing that anybody can say or anybody can explain when it comes to this that will help you understand this. This is something that you can only slowly get a grasp of through experience. I know that's not what you want to hear. I know you're expecting a clear distinction between this, but you can't. At least I don't think that anybody can. This is something that you have to learn through experience. Yes, exactly. So I think the question was, how do you distinguish that? Like, how do you distinguish the use of you in both context, in either like, which is it, right? Well, that's the kind of understanding that you can only obtain through experience. That's my opinion. So I guess part of what I'm trying to say is I don't know how to explain this, because I can't imagine anything that I can say or explain that will help you understand this. I don't really think it's a matter of understanding. I think it really comes down to, being sufficiently experienced with the language through a lot of experience and time for you to really understand it. Yeah, of course. Same thing in Korean. A very simple example that I can come up with right now is, for example, so one of the most common advice that you can hear to not get scammed, right? There's a lot of email scams. I'm sure you know. I'm sure you guys receive a lot of emails that are trying to scam you, right? And so probably one of the first things that you'll hear people telling other people as advice is you should always check the email address and see if it's not something that's suspicious or something that doesn't look too sketchy, right? And so here, you, right? Now, does this you mean you as in the person who's listening to this, or you as in like people in general? Both. How do you distinguish that? Depends on the situation. Context. There's absolutely no way just by looking at this sentence to tell if this you is referring to that person or people in general. There's no way. It always depends on the situation. It's kind of like, it's kind of like in Korean how we usually drop the subject and the object in a sentence, right? So a very simple example is if you're saying this in Korean, we would usually say this, right? I think I saw it here. Okay, so Kaylee P님 says, 늘 이메일 보내기 전 주소 확인하는 게 좋아. So who is this directed to? Who are we talking to? Well, this is probably referring to people in general. So how do we know to drop the subject or not. You can only really learn that through experience. There's no way to really distinguish that. My birthday was on the same day, most significant festival day at our school called 연음제. I received huge congratulations because there were so many people that day. 이 문장을 자연스럽게 말하려면 어떻게 해야 하죠? Practice. You gotta practice, and not be afraid of saying something saying something that's incomplete or imperfect. Really? I'm not really hearing what you guys are hearing. I see what you mean. I see what you mean. 뭐 어떤 단어를 어떻게 말하는지 물어볼 때도요. huh? How do you say? How do you say? I guess. How do you say something? 선생님 프로게이머 같아요. That's great. It's nice to look like a pro anything, right? How would you know는 특정인에게 쓸데 무시하는 뉘앙스인가요? It depends on the situation. That depends on the situation. So, what I'm trying to say here is just because we have this sentence, how would you know? So, I guess in a broader sense, right? In a broader sense, there is no word or expression that always means one thing. I believe this is the same in any language, including Korean. There is never a single vocabulary or a single expression that always means one thing. It always depends on the situation. It always depends on context. Okay? I think that's very important to keep in mind. I think that's very important to keep in mind. 선생님 아이폰 프로 같아요. Yes, I do use the iPhone 16 Pro. I think this is actually the first time. Wait, what was that? I think this is. What was that rattling feeling that I just got? Anyway, so this is actually the first time that I actually got a pro version of an iPhone, I think. I believe so, yeah. Do you have an email address for business? I'm just wondering how you communicate with others when you're doing business. Yes, I do have an email address that is associated with my channel. And I don't necessarily use that with my publisher. I use another neighbor email. But yeah, so there is an email. Oh, I should really... See, the problem is I always forget to check that email. And every now and then when I do actually go in there and check, there's usually a bunch of business-related emails that I regret not, responding to. So that's probably going to happen again. 심지어 자기가 몰랐던 사실이 드러났을 때도 well, what do you know? Yes. Well, what do you know? Yeah. So, probably one of the worst habits that Korean learners have, like, English learners in Korea, Korean people who are learning English, probably the worst habit that they have is they usually completely disregard the context and the situation, and they focus only on the words and the sentence. That's probably the biggest weakness that Korean people have when it comes to learning English. Always disregarding the context and the situation, because they approach it like math. When it comes to math, context. I'm sure they have their own idea of context, but I mean, you don't really need to consider like what the situation is or what the context is. I mean, everything is just the way it is, right? Everything is based on formula and rules. But language is very different. I'm sure you know. So I know, right? So we approach it like programming language. We approach it like math. And I think that's probably the biggest reason that when it comes to learning English, Korean people are just they're very limited in terms of, what they're learning. Did it snow a lot in Korea? Oh yes, a lot. It snowed a lot. It was, from what I hear, it is the most amount of snow that we've had around this time of the year in over 100 years. Meaning that the last time it snowed this much around this time of the year was over 100 years ago. So we had some record-breaking snows here. Finally I sorted out a minor fault in the code that I'm working on as I listen to your stream. My dopamine level has gone off the chart. That's great. Oh, sir, you're a programmer. I had no idea. Okay. Either you're a programmer by day, or it's just like a side, something that you do on the side. Are you a professional programmer? Are you a full-time programmer? When did you start the job that is linked to teaching English? As soon as I finished school. As soon as I got out of university. Actually, I started a little bit before I graduated as a way of making money. I mean, at the time it was purely as a way of making money because it was the only thing that I knew how to do. It was the only skill that I had, which hasn't really changed even after all these years. All I really know is how to speak. I've learned a few skills here and there when it comes to teaching, but I usually consider myself as just someone who knows how to use English to a very limited extent. I'm nowhere near as fluent as a native speaker, but breaking stuff. Yeah, Sam, is your cap for the baseball team you support? No. I don't even know what teams there are. I just go to a store. I try on a few hats. I just buy the one that I like. Your dog mustn't be able to go for a walk today, right? Mustn't be able to? That's a weird way to put it. Can you rephrase that? I know what you mean. But mustn't be able to is... I'm trying to think right now if there's ever a time when we actually say mustn't be able to. He mustn't be able to. Yes, I guess we could. When we are talking about sabotaging someone, like restricting their ability to do something, he mustn't be able to, do something. As in, we must stop him. I guess what you're trying to say is, it must be hard. It must be hard for you to take your dog out for a walk. It must, yeah. I think that's how I would have phrased it. I'm really surprised. And you're right, yes. My dogs haven't been out in like 2 days. Yesterday and today. I mean, we could have taken them out, but there's just so much salt on the roads right now. Calcium chloride. I think that's how we say it in Korean, right? I think it's I mean, sure, they would be thrilled to be out right now, but they don't really know how bad that is for their feet, so I'm really surprised at the heavy snow in Seoul on TV. It's not usual in November. Yeah, it's like I've never seen this much snow. Like, even if it was December or January, I would be surprised to see this much snow. I'm an undergraduate student at the moment and dreaming of being a professional researcher. That's great. That is awesome. 눈이 오다가 안 쌓이고 바로 녹았을 때 disappear를 쓰나요? 아니면 melt를 써도 되나요? Melt, because that's actually what's happening. When you're getting older, snow is just hassle because after heavy snow, I only thought about traffic jam. I think the reason that, another reason that becomes a hassle and a thing of concern rather than something that you enjoy as you get older is because when you're young, like when you're a student and when you're like a kid or younger, I mean, usually adults don't make you go out there and shovel snow, right? They usually do that themselves. I don't know how people deal with it nowadays, but like when I was out there, I've never seen, I don't think I've ever seen a kid out there shoveling snow, and so that's probably why. Could I ask you what was your major in your university? Hotel tourism and management. I didn't really choose that. It was the only thing that my grades allowed me to do. I had no choice. It was either that or no university at all. It's great that you've been teaching English all the years. Well, yeah. Sometimes I wonder how things could have been different if I had made a different choice, but yep. I had a year-end gathering with 3 friends, enjoyed a great time, took pictures of the snowy and white scenery, and felt refreshed for a change. That's great. It's great. Well, already, it's not even December, and you already had your year-end gatherings. Okay. That is excellent. Good for you. Dogs, yeah, they do, don't they? Be careful not to catch a cold. Pretty chilly outside lately. Yeah. Gamer is Korean. Good job. You mean being a professional gamer is a good job in Korea? Is that what you mean? I've learned, not that I know of from you, once I knew that, I've always heard of that here and there. Yeah, it's a very common response that you hear from people. I think it's really important to be able to say this. Because just because you don't know something or that you are not aware of something doesn't mean that it's not true, right? It doesn't mean that the information is not actually there. It just means that maybe you just don't know. So, not that I know of. 염화칼슘, yeah. Calcium chloride. They just say salt or, yeah. I mean, they sometimes use this thing called, I think they called it, what do they call it? Like brine or something? Snow brine? Sometimes they make a liquid compound. Of course, it contains salt, but with other things as well. And sometimes they use like some kind of juice, I think like beet juice or something, and they mix it with the snow brine. Sometimes they use that. My dog is crying too because we couldn't go out for a while. Yeah, it's a bad week for dogs. It's a bad week for dogs. Now that I got old, I got scared of slipping over on icy ground. Yeah, that is a hazard for anybody, not just old people. Although when it happens to old people, the consequences are a lot bigger because it's harder for them to recover from injuries, right? If you've ever joined the army, you gotta hate snows. It's a rubbish falling from the sky. Yeah. Although when I was in the military, I don't remember doing a lot of snow shoveling. Same reason that I choose my major at university. You didn't really have a choice, right? That's a shame, isn't it? You get a certain score from your KCSAT test and other things, like your average GPA from your GPA from high school, and you have to choose among whatever is available at that grade range. Is there something that you planned something at the beginning of this year, but it fell by the wayside? No. Nope, there's nothing. And the reason is not because I've done everything I planned for, because I didn't plan for anything. I've been living in Busan for 5 years. Falling snow is very special. Oh, okay. Oh, you mean it hardly snows in Busan? Is that what you're saying? California 항상 따뜻한 지역인가요? 잘 몰라서. Yes. It is. Although they do have like really, really hot summers, especially where I was, there was this period called Indian summer. It was really, really hot. It's the kind of weather where you can't even touch your doorknob because it gets so hot. But besides that, the first time I saw snow was actually when I came back to Korea in '94. It was snowy a little in my place, but it wasn't snow, just sleet came. It wasn't snowy. I want you to look at this. Now, I have a feeling that most of you feel a lot more comfortable with this than this. Is that true? Do you feel a lot more comfortable with this than this? I want you to take this opportunity to become more familiar with this. This is more common. This is more common. It's more common. What I'm trying to say is you will have more use with this. Okay? I mean, this is fine, but okay. If you live in Canada, you will hate snow. 눈 계속 보는 애들 맨날 웃자고. I guess, is that like all areas in Canada or just the northern parts of Canada? Tesla needs to know that not everyone lives in California, the door of their cars. Oh, okay, I see. I heard that the doors can get stuck, yeah? 쌤은 고딩부터 계속 한국에 계신 것 같아요. 군대도 다녀오셨고요. 토속된다는 선생님. Well, I mean, I did spend like 6 years in the U.S. when I was a kid, but you're right. I went to middle school, high school, and university all in Korea. That's right. Yes, I know. And that's why I wrote it down. I'm not saying this is wrong, but I'm saying that you have more use with this. Okay? It snows. I know it doesn't feel right, but it's a lot more commonly used description of the weather. Okay? So I think I made a video about this, but so when it comes to talking about snow and rain, the thing that you really need to keep in mind, if you want to sound a little bit more natural, okay? If you want to sound a little bit more natural, just focus on using rain and snow as verbs. Use rain and snow as verbs. Don't use it. It's kind of strange to say try not to use rainy and snowy, but because it's more important to break bad habits. If you want to learn a better habit, you got to break old habits and bad habits, right? And so instead of using snowy or rainy, okay, instead of using these words, try to use snow and rain as verbs. It will make you sound a bit more natural, okay? In my opinion, those hits different to me. Those hit different. It wasn't snowy, feels like it did snow, but very tiny amount, whereas it didn't snow feels like it didn't snow at all. No, that's not what it means. It wasn't. If you say it wasn't snowy, it sounds like you're talking about a long period of time. Like over a long period of time, the weather, so like over the course of a few months or maybe even a year or maybe even many years, if you say it wasn't snowy, so like let's say that you went to Europe, right? You went on a trip to Europe and you were there for about a month. Then you can say, well even then I would say it didn't snow very much or it didn't snow. But then I guess you could say it wasn't snowy because you're talking about the course of a month, about a month. And so if you say it wasn't snowy, that means, it didn't snow very often. That's basically what it means. But if you're especially like now, because the snow that we had recently, we're talking about like the time frame. The time frame in which we're talking about is not even a week. It's like within a week. It's a very short span of time. And so in this case, we wouldn't say that, like, for example, if you say yesterday it was snowy, that to me, it just sounds very awkward. I mean, I understand what you're trying to say, but it just sounds a little awkward. It sounds just a lot more natural to say it didn't snow. It didn't snow. Snow day. I think today was one of those days. I think a lot of, we don't have like an official snow day where it applies to everybody, but I think some companies actually told their workers to stay at home today, even schools. Now that I'm looking of it, you have been wearing a black cat. As of today, you need to be called Gummo-sam. People will call me whatever they want. It doesn't really matter. A hat is just a hat, guys. It's just a hat. Actually, it is used as a noun very often as well. Like, we don't get a lot of snow. We got a lot of snow. Yesterday, we got a lot of snow. We got a lot more snow than usual. So, yeah, and that is a much more common way than saying snowy. Like, yeah, I would, like, when I'm speaking English, I would almost never say, yesterday it was very snowy. I wouldn't really say that, because the moment you say yesterday, you're talking about a very short period of time. But the word snowy is usually used when we're talking about a long span of time. So, just sounds really unbalanced. Yeah, so we got a lot of snow. We got a lot of snow. It snowed a lot. We got a lot of snow. This sounds very, very natural. Right, so getting rain is okay. Vancouver just keeps getting... I see. So, 벤쿠버에는 눈이 별로 안 오나요? So think about it. Are you going to say, isn't it snowy in Vancouver? No, you're not going to say that. You're not going to say, isn't it snowy? Right? Even to you, that sounds awkward, doesn't it? Does it hardly snow in Vancouver? This means 눈이 거의 안 오나요? 눈이 거의 안 오나요? 밴쿠버에는 눈이 거의 안 오나요? Okay. However, I would probably say, does it not snow much in Vancouver? This is what I would say. Of course, there are more than one ways to say this, but this is probably how I would say it. Does it snow much? Oh, does it not snow much in Vancouver? Not doesn't it. I wouldn't say doesn't it. Because doesn't it means that that you expect the answer to be no. So when you're actually asking because you really have no information on that, then you would say, does it not snow much in Vancouver? 한국보다는 확실히 눈 안 오는 것 같아요. Really? 아내가 밴쿠버 옆에 빅토리아에 살고 있는데. Oh, that's interesting because now my geography is terrible, but from what I understand, the entirety of Canada is located a lot further north than Korea, isn't it? And it doesn't snow much there? Interesting. You're supposed to talk about your first love on the first snowy day. I've never heard this before. Is this true? No. 꾸미님. That's... I mean, people will understand, but it just sounds really awkward. You should say, does it snow a lot in Vancouver? But Korea is colder than Vancouver. Oh, really? That's interesting. Oh, is that right? I didn't know that. When I stayed in Vancouver, I was shocked by the amount of snow. Snow. I would say when I was staying in Vancouver. I don't know why. I would say something like this. When I was staying in Vancouver, I was shocked by the amount of snow they got. This is probably what I would say. When I was staying in Vancouver, I was shocked by the amount of snow they got. Oh, the entirety of Canada. The entirety. The entirety of Canada. That means 캐나다 전체. I don't remember exactly what I said. I don't know what the sentence was, but I'm pretty sure I said entirety of Canada. What is the function name that you click the chat and it pops up? I'm not really sure. Well, let me see. This is called Live Chat Overlay. That's the title of the extension. It's the Chrome browser extension. It's called Live Chat Overlay. Live Chat Overlay. In classroom, students don't want to study, so right? I will go to Busan next week. I think it will be hot if I wear it like now. If you dress like you do now. Yeah, entirety. Does the way learning English in English have more effect than learning in Korean? What's your opinion? Learning English, you see, when people talk about learning English, they often are thinking about studying English. And by studying English, the way that people usually go about studying English is usually consuming learning content that has been created for learners, right? And in a broad sense, I'm kind of against that. I'm actually very against that. You should never rely on content that has been created for learners. Okay? You have to move away from those type of content and start using the language to communicate. Right? Well, every now and then, indulging in some learning content, I guess it's okay. It's better than nothing, for sure. But the fact of the matter is, you only learn by using. You don't learn by studying. That's something that will never change. That is something that you can't avoid. that's something you can't get around. You learn as you use. You don't learn as you study. You learn as you use it. Okay? Just like we learn anything else in life. Anything else that we learn in life, we learn by doing it. We learn by driving. We don't learn to drive by studying. We learn to drive by driving. So we need to use English to learn learn English, right? Same thing. And so when you think of it like that, learning English through Korean is just, it's all wrong if you really think about it. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? What makes me curious in winter is seeing people just wearing t-shirt and getting around. Do their blood consist of magma or something? I mean, I think there are people who are just really fed up wearing like a lot of clothes, or who just really, well, I mean, everybody's different. But I think that some people are really sick and tired of wearing a lot of clothes. They hate it so much to the point where they rather be cold. You know what I mean? 밴쿠버는 미국 시애틀과 아주 가깝고 두 도시 모두 겨울엔 비가 많이 온대요. I see. Okay. I see. So I'd like to see some snow, but not much though. Better than nothing for sure. 선생님, 제 before 발음을 못 알아듣던데 이거 발음 어떻게 해야 해요? I think, well, again, I can only show you. There's nothing that I can explain. There's nothing that I can tell. That there's no such instruction. There's no instruction that anyone can give you that can just help you pronounce it better. Just say before. 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 Just say this. Before. That's it. So the problem is that most people, I believe that all people, no exceptions, all people can say before. They can say it. But because it sounds so weird, they just settle. They just settle for people. Because before sounds so weird. Yeah. No, not like this. Before. Don't make the P sound. Don't make the P sound. Say before. No. You say before. Before. Do you have some memories of the first snowy day of the year, like having a date with someone when I was 20? We didn't have mobile phones, so the youngs used to make appointment to meet. On snowy days? No memories. None at all. Learning English is to translate sentences from Korean to English for fun. For you, that's what it feels like? I'm a gift from God? Why was I not told about this? I don't think so. Why don't I feel like a gift? How come I don't feel like a gift from God? Why don't I feel like that? I wish I was. That would be so cool. Oh, it would be so cool if I had some connection with the guy upstairs, you know? That would be so awesome. 저는 히트텍의 롱패딩 마스크 풀 착장. 풀 장착. Not 착장. 풀 장착. That's great. Keeping yourself warm. That's smart. They are maybe hot temperature nature. Oh, you mean the guys running around in just like short sleeves t-shirts? I'm guessing that most of the ones that you see out there just wearing a t-shirt are people who are just out for like a few minutes, right? They're like just making a quick trip to the convenience store, or they're just picking up a coffee when they were actually driving, so they're gonna get in their car pretty soon or something. That's what I'm guessing that most of them are. Just making a quick trip somewhere. When it comes to the word before, I think the moment you use the P sound, it just doesn't matter how you say it. Just the moment you say the P sound, people won't understand. Because what you need to understand, and this is, don't pretend like you don't understand this, okay? Don't pretend like you don't understand. Stop. For native speakers, making the P sound when the letter is F is unimaginable. To them, they're not even similar. Okay? And don't pretend like you don't understand why that is. Of course, it's a completely different letter. How could you be confused with this, right? So that you just need to keep that in mind. Okay? Just need to keep that in mind. No, yeah, I get it. But I'm just saying this because it reminded me that a lot of people are just trying to stick with P rather than, trying to say the F sound. But what I'm trying to say that is it's so important for you to do that. Did you know it's snowy day, it normally feels more warm than the other days in winter because when the snow melts, it let out warm air. Ah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. That doesn't exist in English. Because just because you prefer a drink doesn't really make you that kind of person. It just means you prefer it. That's it. 쌤이 밤에 안 나타나시면 왠지 그냥 잠들기가 불안해졌어요. What? 나를 모르는 새벽에 What? 한국어로 아 다르고 어 다른 거 그냥 달라요. Okay, I wish I knew what he was referring. As an English learner, I got to the stage where I became not good at both Korean and English. It's I understand why you might feel like that, but that just goes to show how important it is for you to remove yourself from habitually trying to study the language and move on to actually just using the language and trying to learn the language naturally as you use it. That's what it means. That's what it really means. I saw some people going outside wearing Crocs. I think they're like people who still stick to drink iced Americano in this winter. Well, I was just out with my wife. We went to a coffee shop, and I had a iced Americano as well. Because I was wearing a lot of clothes, and I was feeling a little warm because I was in my car, and then I went inside the coffee shop, and it was pretty warm in the coffee shop, so I was feeling a little, I was feeling very warm. Felt like having a cold drink. What would you do if you could connect with God? Well, not really sure. I guess I would initially begin with trying to understand how the world works, like what the system is, like what happens when people die, what happens to the soul. So what's the deal with heaven and hell? Like what are the conditions? What puts people in hell? What puts people in heaven? Who decides that? How does the rule? Who made the rules? Why does the rule apply? Why he allows so many people to suffer? I mean, he's known to be it's been said that he loves everyone, right? Then why does he make so many people suffer? I would ask those questions, sure. Exactly what I would ask. Wouldn't you? Aren't you curious about those things? Well, yeah, I would be kind of curious about those too, sure. At some point during our conversation, I'm sure we'll get to those things as well. 난 커피 못 먹는다, 못 마신다. 보통 커피랑 술 못 먹는다 표현 어떻게 표현하나요? Just say I don't drink coffee. I don't drink. So if you don't drink alcohol, you say I don't drink. I don't drink. And if you don't drink coffee, you just say I don't drink coffee. I don't drink coffee. Can and can't also sound similar to me. How do I tell them apart? Through experience. Through experience. Yeah. However, one thing that I can... Well, actually, I have a video on that, so go and watch that video, please. I don't want to, waste other people's time on that. So I have a video. It's a very old video, but I do have a video on that, so... In the morning, it wasn't that cold, but after the snow stopped, it became cold and windy. Actually, tomorrow morning, it's going to get really cold from what I hear. Minus 7 or 8 degrees. 계속 라이브 듣다 보면 영어가 늘까요? It's better than nothing, but you shouldn't rely on only this. Okay? That's like saying, can a foreigner learn Korean by only tuning into Korean live streams? Better than nothing, same thing, same rule applies. Better than nothing, but they shouldn't rely only on that. Learning a language is a complicated process, and but that doesn't mean that you should try to fine-tune everything, like trying to find the best method. No. All you need to really do is just try to use the language as frequently as you can, as often as you can, and as consistently as you can, for as long as you can, by consuming content online and by using the language to communicate. Try to remove yourself from studying, from activities that we call studying English. Try to move away from that and try to just use the language as much as you can. Best advice I can give you. That is the best advice I can give you. Feet also want to feel snow on a snowy day. I mean, people would cry. Yeah. The feet also want to feel snow. Okay. I'm not gonna... Yeah, that actually makes sense. You can ask back like can or can't. 하고 물으면 cannot 해줬던 것 같아요. Sure. Yeah, it's all about communication, right? You're right. 내일 아침 춥답니다. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And something that I'm very concerned about is we had a lot of snow, right? We had a lot of snow today, yesterday, and today we had a lot of snow. There's a lot of snow piled up there. And during the day today, a lot of that snow melted because we had above zero temperatures. Okay? And so a lot of that snow has melted, and I was just out, like maybe 2 hours ago, I was just out. As I was coming back home, I noticed a lot of that water that has been melting has turned to ice already. You see what I mean? So can you imagine what's going to happen tomorrow? Right? By the time people are on the streets trying to get to work, the streets will be all ice. It's going to be like skating out there. it's going to be really dangerous. You got to be very, very careful out there, especially when you're on your feet. Even when you're on your feet, even if you're walking, you got to be careful of other cars, right? My gosh. So the researcher made the decision that language confines our ability. I was impressed while reading it. That learning language confines our ability to an extent. To an extent. To an extent. 중급 이상인데 신기하게 잘 들려요. 신기해. It's because you spend a lot of time here, and you spend a lot of time listening to me, to my voice, and the more familiar you get with my voice and my speech, the more you can understand. And so that's exactly why you need to go out there. You need to go out in the wild and experience English a lot. 영어 듣기와 말하기는 같이 느는 걸까요? Short answer is yes. My short answer is yes. And the long answer is, I don't know, maybe. What do I know? What do I know? I'm not an expert, right? I'm not an expert. All I do is just spend a lot of time doing this. Happy you can ask back like, yeah, sure. What on earth do you want me to do? 에서 on earth가 도대체 정도로 해석이 되던데 왜 도대체가 될까요? 어원 같은 게 있을까요? Think about what it means. Think about what it means. On earth. What on earth? 이 지구상에 뭐. So you're talking about like, in a practical sense. Like really, among all the things that exist on earth, what do you want me to do? Like virtually, right? So, in fact, my question is, what does 도대체 mean? What does 도대체 mean? I know how it is used, but what does it really mean? Does the word 도대체 have an origin? Do we know the origin of 도대체? No. We just use it, right? 내일 추워봤자 빨모쌤 미소 보면 따뜻해져. Oh, that's such a sweet thing to say. Oh, wait. Does that mean I have to stream tomorrow morning? Are you telling me I should stream tomorrow morning? I probably shouldn't, because the only thing it's going to do is going to distract you, and you're going to probably step on some ice and slip and hurt your hip. So it's probably a bad idea. Yeah, it's going to be very icy tomorrow. Very, very icy. One day I learned the expression of look it up in your book, and then when I was listening to English radio, I could understand the sentence with that expression. So happy. Yeah, look it up. It's probably one of the most frequently used expressions in the modern language, right? Shouldn't I go swimming in the morning? You should, NJ. You should definitely go swimming, but be careful on your way there. If I decide to go, I should drive really slowly. Oh, you drive there. Okay, yeah. Drive very, very slowly. Very, very slowly. 아이젠 꺼내야 하나? I mean, if it's not too much of a hassle. There already are a lot of accidents here and there might be even more tomorrow. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot tomorrow. So the temperature is going to take a pretty big dip. And so people are going to want to take their cars, right? Wherever they go. And like I said, I think this is the circumstances that we find ourselves in. So again, it snowed a lot. So there's a lot of snow that has not been cleared, right? Most people, they just, yeah, they shoveled the snow, but they just put it to one side, right? They put it to either side. So there's a lot of snow, and during the day today, it was above zero, and a lot of that ice melted, and all that water is like running on the streets and on the road, right? And all that is going to get like frozen, like ice, throughout the night. Because even right now, like what's the temperature right now? It's -2. It's going to be very slippery tomorrow. Very, very slippery. Well, I haven't taken my dogs out in the last 2 days, actually. So today, we didn't go out. We wanted to. We considered it, but we figured that there's probably a lot of salt on the road and streets right now. And so we thought that would be a bad idea. Yeah, this is true. And I think most people deep inside, they already know this. And the reason that we keep looking for some method is because this is the one thing that we don't want to do. That's the way I look at it. Deep inside, everybody knows that in order to improve their speaking, they just have to spend more time speaking, right? But since that is the one thing that we dread to do, that we just absolutely don't want to do, we look for other methods. We're choosing to take the blue pill. Like we want to be in the matrix. 일을 하면서 남에게 도움을. Well, yeah, I do the best I can. I try to enjoy it as much as I can. I mean, no job is perfect, right? Even if it's something that you love to do, when it becomes your job, you know, chances are you're going to hate it at some point. But I do the best I can. There are moments when I just absolutely hate it. But I try to make the best of it. So, where do I live? I live in 경기도 광주시. 제 친구가 medium을 계속 믿음이라고 발음하는데 제 친구는 글렀습니다. What is medium? M-E-D-I-U-M? medium? 이렇게 계속 믿음이라고 친구는 글렀습니다. No, it's okay. It's alright. It's not, that's not the worst thing to mispronounce. Who's the first celebrity crush? Have you mentioned this before? My first celebrity crush. Oh gosh, I think. Let's see. Let's try to think back. I'd really have to look for one. I mean, I don't think I've ever seriously had a crush on a celebrity. Maybe Jodie Foster? Not really sure. Because I really loved her in that movie Contact. So I don't feel like I had a crush on her, but if I were to choose one right now, I guess maybe. No, Contact. Yeah, I mean there were aliens in that movie, but 예전에 그래서 오바마가 하는 말 이해 못했음. 그래서 Really? I thought he had really good. I thought he was really good at enunciating his speech. I don't know. I always found his speech very easy to understand. Oh, that's kind of interesting because I had a similar experience very recently, like a couple days ago. I was listening to this song. I think the song was called "Bitch Please," and it was this rap song, and there were several different rappers who rapped back to back throughout the entire song. And it was funny because I had a really hard time understanding what most of the rappers were saying, like their lyrics, right? But when it came to Eminem, it was so weird. It was so odd because I was able to understand almost every single word he said. I mean, I didn't understand exactly what he meant by those words, but I felt like I could hear actually every single word he said. And I think that's what makes him a very unique rapper. His enunciation is like crazy. It's so insane. I mean, considering how fast he raps, the level of his enunciation is like out of this world. It's on another level, like absolutely. Because there's like an extra filter. 조디 포스터 고스트 중인 거야. No. I think that's Demi Moore, not Jodie Foster. Jodie Foster. I think the first time I saw Jodie Foster was it was either Contact or Silence of the Lambs. Silence of the Lambs or Contact. She was great in both movies, by the way. When black people are talking to me, it sounds like music. I think that's very normal. It's absolutely normal for you to feel that way. Yeah, I still have a little bit. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. Taxi Driver. She was in Taxi Driver? You mean the one with Robert De Niro? She was in that movie? I actually didn't watch that movie. My friend's dog named Seshimi is not able to do the defecation activity indoor. How about your guys? Oh yeah, my dogs, they don't poo inside. Although Brody sometimes does when he has no choice, but they have been trained to, not like deliberately trained, but they have they just don't poo inside. They poo outside. 제 수준으로는 아직 발음 못 알아듣겠는 외국인 분께 발음 그렇게 하는 거 아니야. 나 따라해봐 하고 알려줘도 되나요? 왜? 제 수준으로는 아직 발음 못 알아듣겠는 외국인 분께 발음 그렇게 하는 거 아니야. 나 따라해봐 하고 알려줘도 되냐고요? You mean English? Or Korean? 제 영어쌤이 흑인 플러스 턱시요. It made it hard to understand. While I had dinner with my kids, my daughter suddenly said, I am today in English. She's just 3 years old, so cute. So I said, I am yesterday. What did she mean by that, though? What did she mean by I am today? One of the greatest movies she starred. Is one of the greatest movies she starred. Which movie are you talking about? 말하게 하는 영어는 Neil? Can't find it. Pronunciation 발음을 enunciation 줄여서 하는 걸까요? Enunciate. I think that's the word. What the? Why did it log me out? Why did it log me out? That's weird. Yeah, enunciate. Yeah, enunciation. Right, enunciation. 쌤, 저 이제 미국에서 일한 지 1년 다 돼가는데 어떤 날은 너무 안 들리고 어떤 날은 너무 잘 들려요. 귀가 먼저 튀어야 한다고 하는데 no, that's not true. 참 어떤 날은 말이 입에 걸려서 안 나올 때는 울고 싶어요. Me too. I feel the same way in both English and Korean. I'm not even kidding. Like seriously. 코수염 있는 사람들은 영어 발음을 먹는다고 표현하더라고요. 알아듣기 힘들어요. It's even worse when you have to watch them eat. It gets so messy. Oh, she was just saying anything? Okay. Just blurting out anything, right? Enunciation. Some people pronounce today as today. As today? Could you show me how to do that? I want to try. I guess it depends on which word you have in front of today. Like, I'm I can't think of anything right now. But yeah, sometimes it does sound like today. Especially when you have, I think it depends on like the preposition that you have before today. 친한 분 강아지 이름은 훈이. 그 집 아들들의 돌림자로 강아지 이름을 지어줬대요. Interesting. Okay. I think I actually knew a guy in high school whose name was Hun. His last name was Lee, so he was Lee-hun. He hated me for some reason. I don't really know why. If I had a chance to meet him again, I think I would ask him like why he hated me so much. Every time he looked at me, he said like, "Don't smile. I hate you." I don't know why. 귀가 먼저 튀어야 하는군요. I don't know about that. I don't think there's a rule. Like when it comes to Korean, can you say that the same rule applies? I don't know. Well, yeah, that's for sure. But I think you barely make grammar mistakes in Korean. No, I probably do. I probably do make a lot of mistakes. But more than mistakes, I'm very limited in the kind of vocabularies that I use and the expressions that I use. And I have a lot of hard time understanding what people say sometimes. But it's the same for me in English too. So it's okay. It takes time. It takes time. It takes time. What does 도대체 mean? It's hard to explain. I don't think a lot of people know what 도대체 means. Everybody just knows how to use it, and that's kind of the approach that I want to encourage everyone to have when it comes to English as well. Like it doesn't really matter like what something means and how it's used. It's just you just need to know. You do need to know how it's used. And that's pretty much all you really need to know. You don't really need to know how it works, right? Like grammatically. He was just messing with you for no reason, I guess. Just forget about it. Yeah, I know, but it was just so weird. It was always a mystery to me. It was Nell. Typo. Jodie Foster. Okay, so Jodie Foster was in a movie called Nell. Right? I don't really know that one. I watched the movie Moana 2 yesterday. Oh, is it already out? And it was better than I expected. What movie have you watched recently? The most recent movie I watched was, I think, Aliens Romulus. Although, no. The most recent movie I watched in the theaters was Longlegs, but that was the second time I watched it. I actually watched it a few months before that, the first time. I downloaded the movie and I watched it, but it was the movie that I watched most recently in the theaters for the first time was Aliens Romulus. 채팅으로만 영어를 사용하면 키보드 워리어가 되는 걸까요? 채팅으로만 영어를 사용하면. So never using English in any other way? Well, then I don't know what that makes you. I don't think that necessarily makes you a keyboard warrior. I'm going. Oh, are you leaving? Casey-님? If Casey-님 is leaving, I'm leaving too. 선생님, 동사만 쓰면 명령어잖아요. 근데 do eat, 이건 뭐지요? It's encouraging you to eat. It's encouraging you to eat. It's kind of like saying don't not eat. It's encouraging you to eat. 먹어. 먹어. 꼭 먹어. It's encouraging you to eat. 영어 진짜 잘하고 싶어요. 뭐부터 시작해야 될까요? 내가 하루를 지내면서 내가 이렇게 하루를 그냥 평상시에 하루를 지내면서 자주 하는 말들, 가장 내가 습관적으로 자주 하게 되는 말들, 뭐 그게 성격 때문에 그럴 수도 있고 아니면 내 일상 때문에 내가 보내는 일과 때문에 자주 쓰게 되는 말일 수도 있고 어쨌든 상관없이 내가 하루를 지내면서 자주 하게 되는 말을 한국어로 쫙 나열을 해보세요. 리스트를 만드세요. 그런 다음에 어떤 식으로든 그걸 영어로 하는 방법을 알아내세요. 가장 쉽고 가장 간단한 방법은 챗GPT를 이용하는 거예요. 야, 나 이거 다 영어로 바꿔줘. 어떻게 얘기하는 건지 알려줘. 심지어 읽어달라고 해요. 그런 다음에 내가 일상을 지내면서 그 말을 하는 타이밍 왔을 때 한국어로 하더라도 아 맞다 뭐였지? 영어로도 해봐요. 거기서 시작을 하세요. 거기서 시작을 하시는데 대부분의 사람들이 그 시작을 하지도 않고요. 대부분의 사람들이 시작을 하더라도 그거를 뭐 하루 이상 이틀 이상 그걸 지속할 수 있는 분도 많지 않아요. 그게 더 중요한 문제예요. 더 중요한 문제는 뭐부터 시작하느냐 보다는 어떻게 하면은 내가 어떤 방법을 추천받았을 때 그거를 꾸준히 내가 이어갈 수 있느냐. 그게 is a more important question. 맞아요. 대부분이 이래요. 대부분이 귀찮아서 안 해요. 제가 방금 추천한 방법의 중요한 이유가 이게 영어를 마치 하나의 학교에서 배우는 과목처럼 공부로서 접근을 하는 게 아니라 어떻게든 실제로 활용하는 것부터 시작을 하는 거예요. 이게 여러분이 영어를 배우는 이 여정, 이걸 하나의 여정으로 본다면 그게 가장 중요해요. 공부에서 벗어나서 활용으로 넘어가는 거. 만약에 제가 추천한 이 방식 있죠? 이거조차가 잘 안 되잖아요? 그러면 다른 그 어떤 것은 훨씬 더 어려워요. 이게 제일 쉬운 거예요. This is the easiest. 방금 제가 추천한 게 뭐의 교차점이냐면 가장 의미 있는 배움의 과정이라고 할까요? 가장 의미가 있으면서 실제로 내가 할 수 있는 실천이 가능한 진입장벽이 높지 않은 진짜로 할 수 있는 그러면서 실제로 내가 영어를 배우는데 도움이 되는 실제로 영향가가 있는 그거의 교차점이 있다고 생각해요. 저는. 오케이? 이것보다 더 쉬운 건 있어요. 더 간편하게 할 수 있는 거. 하지만 그게 얼마나 의미 있는 배움의 과정이냐? That is questionable. 그건 좀 이제 의심이 돼요. 그 외의 것들은. 예를 들어서 강의 시청하기. 이러고 강의 시청하는 거. 저 단어가 저런 식이구나. 아, 저 표현을 저렇게 쓰는구나. You can't learn English like this, okay? 그리고 그게 또 중요한 이유가 뭐냐? 어떤 인식을 빨리 스스로 심는 게 좋냐면 내가 자주 하는 말, 내가 일상 속에서 자주 하게 되는 말, 그 말을 영어로 배우는 거. 여기서 언제나 기준은 이게 돼야 돼요. 내가 실제로 쓰는 말부터 배운다. 쉬운 것부터 배운다가 아니라 내가 평소에 쓰는 말부터 배운다. 오케이? 조심해서 손해볼 건 없다. 영어로 하면 It doesn't hurt to be careful. Perfect. Perfect. 일기 얘기가 나와서 말인데요. 물론 방금 제가 그 추천한 방법에서 시작은 거기서 하는 게 좋지만 그거 절대로 그 어느 단계에서도 그 영어를 배우는 그 과정을 쭉 이렇게 하나의 여정으로 봤을 때 그 어느 순간에도 오로지 한 가지의 방법만 의존하면 된다라는 생각 빨리 벗어나야 돼요. I get so many questions from people who ask like, will my English improve if I only do this? This is one of the most common questions I get. 가장 흔히 받는 질문 중에 그게 있어요. 이것만 하면 영어가 느나요? And you know what? I think those people actually know the answer is no. But I don't know why they ask that. Like, why do they ask that question? Like, of course it's not. Of course that can't be the only thing that will improve your English. Like, how can you think that, like, by only doing one thing you can learn English? Like, where does that idea come from? It always has to be a mix of things. Okay? 어렸을 때 자신감 가지고 일단 영어 내뱉으라고 한 말 듣고 원어민 선생님께 용기 내서 발음 굴려가며 말씀드렸는데 갑자기 구글 번역기 띄우시더니 번역 누르셨는데 그때는 구글 번역이 좀 완벽하지 않아서 네 말 못 알아듣겠어 떠서 트라우마 생겨서 자신이 없습니다. 트라우마가 있는 거는요, 그런 경험을 겪지 않아도 트라우마는 누구나 다 있어요. 대부분의 한국에서만 계셨던 분들은요, 대부분이 영어에 대한 트라우마가 있어요. 그리고 영어와 아주 안 좋은 관계를 가지고 있어요. 틀리면 안 되고, 잘 못하면은 사람들이 날 무시하고, 네 말 잘 못 알아듣지, 야 너 발음이 왜 이래, 이 한마디에 무너지고, 이런 게 바로 그거에 대한 트라우마를 가지고 있는 사람들의 특징이에요. 그 트라우마를 갖고 있다는 것 자체가 잘못이는 It's not your fault. It's not your fault, but you need to understand that you have a certain degree of trauma when it comes to English. Okay? So you need to understand that. So 일단 관계 개선이 좀 필요해요. You need to build a new relationship with English. 영어와 좀 새로운 관계를 좀 형성을 해야 돼요. 기존의 관계에서 좀 벗어나서 헤어지고 새로운 영어와의 새로운 관계를 맺어야 돼요. That's how I feel about it. 그래서 제가 너무나도 좀 지나칠 정도로 많이 반복해서 얘기하는 게 영어를 못하는 거는 당연한 거고, 그러니까 여러분이 운전을 배울 때를 생각해 보세요. 사람들이 운전을 배울 때 배우기 시작해서 결국에 배우는 이유가 욕 먹고 뭐 사고도 내고 그러면서도 그냥 하니까 그게 배워지는 거예요. 왜냐면 그게 배움의 과정이니까요. 근데 영어는 막히면은 그냥 주저앉아요. 어디서 누가 뭐라고 하면은 나 어떻게 하고 이제 진행을 안 해요. 그러니까 안 배워지는 거예요. When you hit a bump, you just stop. It's like, how do I take care of that bump? What do I do? So that's probably why. Okay. 영어에 대한 트라우마가 있냐고요? I think I've overcome it. Yeah. 저도 여행 갔다가 호스텔에서 여행자들이랑 영어로 대화하는데 정말 못 알아듣겠다는 표정을 너무 많이 봐서 트라우마가 생겼어요. 그리고 영어 대회는 애들끼리만 말 더 많이 하고 친해지고 그래서 슬펐습니다. 그게 영어 시작한 계기가 되었어요. 그거는 영어를 공부를 하기 시작한 계기가 된 게 아니라 영어 공부라는 곳에 숨어 계시는 거예요. I'm sorry to say this. I know what you mean, and I think it's great that you started learning English, okay? But I want to make it clear that studying English, you're hiding from what you really need to do. When you only consume learning content, English learning content, you're hiding. You're hiding from what you really need to do. And again, I'm going to stress this again and again and again as much as I need to. You need to move away from studying. You need to go out in the real world, use English to communicate. Yes, it will hurt. You will run into bumps in the road along the way, many bumps along the way. Things will not always be smooth sailing. You will be very, very embarrassed. You will be humiliated in many occasions, but you just have to just let all those go. Don't get so emotionally attached to those small events. Yes, some people will call you out. They will say, "Hey, what's wrong with your English? Learn some English. Go back to your country." Sure, let it happen. But don't let that discourage you. Okay? 독학으로만 7년을 공부했는데요. 딱히 언제까지 어떤 목표가 있어서 영어 공부 시작한 건 아니고요. 미국 갔다 와서 막연히 유창하게 말하고 싶어서 시작했고 하다 보니 재밌어서 계속했어요. 지금 제 실력이 어느 정도인지 객관적으로 평가해 볼 수 있는 방법이 있을까요? I don't think there's such a thing. I don't think there's such a thing as objectively determining what your English level is, because think about Korean. Is there an objective criteria as to what level a person is speaking Korean in? No. There's never such thing. Like you hear his Korean level is this much. We can't see that. There's no such thing. And therefore I feel the same way about English. Sure, we have a lot of systems in place where we make it look like, right? People like me, where we make it look like, there are different levels, like beginner, intermediate, high level, advanced level. But such thing doesn't exist in it. It's a language, right? It's a language. 어떻게든 소통하고 실제로 많이 해보는 게 yes, exactly. 네, 그렇다고 그거는 이제 거기서 정해놓은 기준인 거고요. 지금 이분이 말씀하신 거는 보세요, 객관적으로잖아요. I don't believe there's such a thing. I don't believe there's such a thing because it's a language. Even with our own language, people don't use English at the same level. But that doesn't mean that, like for example, your Korean, a lot of your Korean is better than mine. Like I don't doubt that, not even a little bit, right? But does that make me a non-native speaker? No. Even if my Korean isn't as good as yours, it doesn't necessarily make me less of a native speaker than you, right? So, yeah. OPI? OPIC? 컴퓨터로 OPI는 직접 사람과 전화로. Again, we're following their system. Let's be honest here. We all know there's no objective way. There's no such thing as an objective way to determine what level a person is using a language at, right? 미국 사람들이 인도 라틴계 사람들 영어를 잘 이해하는 게 intonation 때문이라고 하더라고요, apparently. I think intonation plays a big part. Yes, intonation, rhythm, your sound link, it plays a really big part, I believe. It's not the only determiner, but it plays a big part. Just speaking English with someone via English. If you can communicate with them, your study works properly, I think. So what I think Park Hyo-soo 님 is saying is, like, okay, so think about your driving, right? Let's say you started learning to drive, and let's say about 2 months after you started learning to drive, you can go grocery shopping, you can take your kids to school, you can, I don't know, drop off your laundry, pick up your laundry, and get back home. And that's pretty much all you really need to do with your car. And as long as you can get those jobs done, it doesn't really matter how much your driving is improving, right? Because you're putting your driving skill into practical use, and as long as it's getting the jobs done, it doesn't really matter. Like, oh, I'm worried about whether my driving skills are improving or not. It doesn't really matter because you can get stuff done. And that's exactly, I've talked about this so many times before, but that's exactly how you need to approach language learning. Put it into use. Put it into practical use, and because there's so much that you will learn from using it rather than studying it. Okay? And as long as you're able to communicate with people in English, I'm sure, and as long as you're trying to improve, right? As long as you have that in mind, that you're trying to improve, you wish you could be better, and you will naturally focus on improving, like your expressions and your vocabularies and whatnot. And so as long as you have that in mind, and as long as you're putting it into practical use, I don't think you really have to do anything else. You know what I mean? Fina-라든지 I really ballin', I really dimmin'. 라든지 영어 노래를 들으며 비동사를 생략하거나 줄임말이 엄청 많은 것 같은데 이런 것은 이해만 된다면 허용되겠죠? 이런 것은 이해만 된다면 허용이 된다고요? I don't really know what that means. 감히 외모 평가하는 건 절대 아닌데 선생님처럼 멋지면 What? Okay, I'm not even gonna pretend I read that. That is a very, very weird question. Yeah, this is what I mean. As long as you're communicating, right? As long as you can talk to people, right? It doesn't really matter. And so the next question is the next question is, but I'm having so much trouble and I'm struggling so much to communicate even a little bit. Well, then you just have to keep at it. There's nothing that will just suddenly change things around. You just have to keep at it until it works. Just like how we learn anything else in life. Anything else in life. Okay, let's say you started working at a job, right? Let's say you started working at McDonald's, making burgers, flipping patties, working the machine, right? And let's say that at the beginning of the job, of course, you're not going to be very skilled. And not every day is going to go very smoothly. So what do? Do you look for another way to improve? No, you just keep doing it. You run it. You repeat. You keep on running into those problems until you can do it better. Same thing. Just because it's a language doesn't mean there's always some way to take care of your problems. You know what I mean? 23분씩 주 5일 화상 영어 한지 2년 넘었는데 느리긴 하지만 처음이랑 지금이랑 스피킹 실력이 엄청 달라진 게 느껴져요. 한 1년 반 동안에 필리핀 선생님들이랑은 했는데 어느 순간 한계가 느껴지더라고요. 필리핀 쌤이랑은 말이 잘 되는데 서양인이 말 걸면 긴장해버리는. 그래서 요즘엔 필리핀 쌤 주 1회, 영어 쌤 주 1회, 미국 쌤 주 1회 화상 영어 30분 하고 있어요. That's great. That is excellent. 제가 요즘 선생님 영상을 보면서 영상에 나온 표현을 사용해서 스크립트를 만들어서 친구랑 스피킹 연습을 하는데요. 제가 만들다 보니 문장이 비슷비슷해서 고민입니다. 영어 실력 향상을 위해서 번역기로 다양한 표현을 사용해보는 게 좋을까요? No, you need to do a lot more reading and listening. Not learning content, but just regular content in English. Things that you're interested in. If you're interested in politics, tune into a lot of content in English, not content that has been created for English learning, but just regular content in English. If you like skateboarding content. If you're interested, like whatever you're interested in. If you're interested in pets, content that's, related to pets. Consume as much content as you can. A lot of reading, read a lot of articles, blog posts, social media, YouTube videos, whatever you can get your hands on. Consume a lot of content. As you are consuming those contents, you will come across a lot of vocabularies and expressions that you would want to learn. I know this because that happens to me every single day. As I consume content, I come across tons and tons of expressions, sentences, word choices that I really want to learn. I write them down. I share some of them with you, some of them I don't. Okay, that's what you need to do. I reckon is more like you're interpreting a situation. You're processing a situation and you're trying to interpret it to understand it. That's kind of what reckon is. If I were to find something that's similar to I reckon, I would say it's I assume or I guess. Yeah, it's closer to I guess and I assume. I guess or I assume. I know. You have to stay there and you have to keep moving. I understand. It's hard, it's frustrating, not easy. Stay there, keep moving. Don't stop and, don't stop there and try to figure out, what you can do. You just keep moving. Oh, thank you. Sam, isn't it tiring to speak for hours? If it is okay, do you have a secret not to get tired by any chance? Yes. I pretend like I'm not tired. I pretend like I'm not tired. 미국에서 제가 만나본 한국 사람들은 자신들의 영어를 평가받는 것을 두려워하는 것 같아요. That's the trauma. That's the trauma. That's exactly what I mean by a very bad and toxic relationship that Korean people have with English. Because that's how we started our relationship in the first place. Our relationship with English started in school as a subject. And what happens in school? We are graded through a test, a standardized test. We're given a grade. When we get good grades, we get a pat on the back. When we get bad grades, we get a smack across the face, right? That's what and that's why we have this toxic relationship with English. So that in a twisted way, that's actually normal. 그러면서 타인의 영어를 또 평가하려는 듯해요. Exactly, yeah. 이런 나쁜 버릇부터 버려야 입을 뗄 텐데 완벽한 문장이 생각나지 않으면 함구 전략을 쓰는 사람이 많은 What? What's a 함구 전략? 실수하면서 배워간다. 영어는 소통의 도구일 뿐이다. 저도 매번 생각을 합니다. Yep, that's right. It is so difficult to get this message across. And even when I do seem to get the message across, I think for a lot of Korean people, it's very, very hard to actually put this into practice. To really accept this and really change, have this change our behavior. It's really hard for that to lead to that other thing. Yeah. So, my best advice for dealing with this, is to try to just ignore it. Not let it bother you. Even when it does bother you, just pretend like it's not bothering you. So in a way, what I'm telling you to do is fake it till you make it. I know you feel frustrated. I know you feel very, very anxious. The anxiety is real. I understand that. But just try your best not to let it bother you. That's really all you can really do. Accent and sound links 했더니 듣기에 많이 도움이 되었어요. Okay. That's great. Good for you. I hope it works for a lot of other people too. Drinking pakase. You're really good at pretending like you're not there. Am I? That's great. So I think the same principle applies here. Like, so I pretend like I'm not tired when I'm actually tired, and when that happens, enough times, it actually becomes real. Fake it till you make it. 제 생각을 막 힘없이 영어로 익숙한 표현으로 표현 가능해요. 근데 인풋으로 쌓은 새로운 표현을 써서 근사하게 말하려면 유창성이 떨어지고 말이 막히는 걸 느껴요. 맨날 쓰는 말만 쓰는 제가 싫어서 구동사 강의와 표현을 외우고 있는데 막상 실제 대화에서는 의식적으로 표현을 생각하려면 오히려 유창성이 떨어져요. 생각 없이 말할 때 오히려 유창성이 올라가요. I think that pretty much is the same for everyone. Even in Korean. Think about it. That's true even in our own language. Wouldn't you agree? There are only 14 minutes left until midnight. Oh, that's right. We should go home. 함구 전략, 입 다문 전략. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's so messed up. 생활 영어 정도만 필요한 경우면 하루 몇 시간은 영어 공부에 시간 투자를 하면 좋을까요? Okay, so I think I'm not going to give a specific number of hours, but I'm going to give you a percentage. A percentage of a percent of your time, a percentage of your time being spent using English. And if you want to improve your English in a meaningful way, and and improve your English in, like, realistically speaking, right? I say 50% of the time you spend not working, not sleeping, and the time that you spend for yourself, entertainment and rest. The time that you spend entertaining yourself and resting, half of that should be spent in English, but not studying English, but using English. And using English means reading articles online, reading blog posts, going on social media and looking at what other people are doing, going online on community websites and seeing what people are talking about, watching the news, just spending time watching YouTube videos. Half of that time should be spent in English. Okay? Half. So let's say you spend about, 5 hours a day for yourself? Is that too much? So not working and not sleeping. The rest of the time, 5 hours? Is that fair? 5 hours. So if you spend 5 hours a day just for yourself, purely for resting and entertainment, do half of that in English. Rest in English. Because when you're resting, I don't know, maybe you're watching a YouTube video, maybe you're listening to music, maybe you're watching a movie, whatever you're doing, right? Although a lot of that actually sounds like entertainment. So you get the idea, right? You get the idea. Not too much? See, this is exactly one of the things that I always, I don't know. Okay, so there is a. I shouldn't talk about it. Then some of you are gonna go see that video. It's not meant to be easy. It's not meant to be easy. So let me put it like this. If the only way you're willing to learn English is the easy way, then quit. If you're only willing to learn English without any effort, without much effort and without putting in much time, it's better to quit. Because it's not going to happen. There's no such thing. If you keep following that, if you keep trying to do that, you're going to waste a lot of time and money. Believe me, you're going to waste a lot of time and money if you keep trying to follow the easy way. I'm really trying to give you realistic advice. Okay? Because one of the things that I hate to see is people wasting so much time and money on things that won't make any difference. And there's a lot of products out there. There's a lot of products out there that's disguised as something that will actually make a difference, but that actually don't. So I think our way of life, especially after the smart revolution, everything's becoming smart. Smartphones, smart TVs, faster internet. Everything's being really, really smart. And things tend to happen more instantaneously than ever. Right? We are able to do things so quickly nowadays that we have, I believe it has led us to a point where we can't wait for anything nowadays. Don't you think so? It's not really, well, I guess it's kind of our fault, but if you really think about it, it's not really your fault, right? But because we are able to do everything so quickly nowadays, we've really lost the ability to wait for anything to happen. Like, if it can't happen right away without any effort, it's like there's got to be another way. But when it comes to learning a language, it's something that you have to actually put in the time and effort to do. Right? So, yeah, I agree. 원어민 추천과 수업할 때 프리티 토킹보다는 그날 제가 쌤 영상으로 익힌 새로운 표현을 의식적으로 써서 대화하려 하는데 좋은 방법일까요? 영어는 의식하기 시작하는 순간 막혀버린 느낌을 어떻게 극복할까요? 반복이 정답이겠죠? You're right. You are absolutely right. 흐흐님 is speaking the truth. Spitting some truth right here. That's right. That is absolutely right. So, I think one of the misconceptions about learning English is that you learn something through learning material and you have to somehow load that particular file from your brain like a computer. When you're actually communicating face-to-face with a foreigner, somehow you have to load that information from your memory and you have to use it, put it into practice, right? But we all know that that's not going to happen. It doesn't work like that. When we are, like I said in the very first video that I ever uploaded on the channel, when it comes to actually using the language, you can only use what you're already familiar with. You can only use what you are already familiar with. And so the key is to familiarize what you learn. And in order to familiarize what you learn, the only thing that you can do, the only method, is to repeat it. Repeat it as much as you can. But when you are actually communicating with a foreigner, don't think about all that. Don't try to load the things that you believe you've memorized. You just have to focus in that very moment. Just communicate and hope that all that repetition will actually come out when you're actually engaging in conversation. Do you see what I'm trying to say here? Everybody loses patience. Exactly. I've usually listened to various English live stream when I'm on the bus. I'm trying not to be stressed out. I think speaking is the most important and summarize what I was in trouble when I spoke. Taking notes, sure. I think that's important as well. So as you are consuming content in English, taking notes of the things that you want to remember, repeating them, it's really not a complicated process. You know, if you really think about it, like, for example, losing weight. Why is losing weight difficult? Can someone explain this, please? Why is losing weight difficult? Why is it? Why is losing weight so difficult? The principle is very easy. The principle is very simple. Eat less, move more. It's very, very simple. Eat less, move more. If you don't abide by these rules, you gain weight. Right? Eat less, move more. It's really simple. Learning English has been like people have injected this idea in your brain that this is a very complicated process and you need an expert to help you. You need to use some patented method, English learning method, to learn English. So all this noise has blinded us from a very plain fact that we all know is true. If you want to learn English, you have to use it. Just as a person can only lose weight when they start to eat less and move more. Right? That fact does not change. You can't, there's no way around it. Same thing. If you want a very first principle, the first principle of learning a language, you have to use it to learn it. If you want to learn it, you have to use it. And this is really scary because that is the one thing that people try not to do. The one thing that people just try to avoid as much as they can is using the language. They try to do everything else. Right? It's hard. That's true. But it's hard, right? Yes, learning a language is hard. Putting in the effort and time is hard. But we have a very big advantage. We have a very big advantage. You know what that is? We are adults. We're not children. So when we want to make meaningful change, we have the ability, we have the capacity to put in the time and effort to change it. Because we're not children, right? Take advantage of that. Take advantage of that. Take advantage of that. if you have access to the internet, if you own a smartphone, you have everything you need. If you own a smartphone and if you have access to the internet, if you have internet access, you have everything that you need. You have everything that you need and you know exactly what you need to do. Stop pretending like you don't know. You know what they say, no one is hated more than the one who speaks the truth. I'm sure I have a lot of haters out there. Practice every day? No. Because when you say it like that, it traps you in the idea of studying the language. No. You have to use it. Use the language to communicate. Consume content, communicate in English. Consume content, communicate in English. And maybe take some notes along the way. I think it really comes down to these 3 sentences. When it comes to the best advice that I know how to give about learning English, consume content, communicate in English, and maybe take some notes along the way. Okay? Nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. Yeah. Well, actually, there are some things that tastes just as good as skinny feels, I think. 재밌는 책 없을까요? I have no idea because I don't know what people like. People like different things, so people find different things fun. So I have no idea. Because I have no idea what you like. I'm obsessed with food nowadays. Okay, I think it's because of winter. Consume contents and communicate in English. Yes. So I'm trying to make global friends and it's not that easy. Well, it's like I said, it's never meant to be easy. It's hard, which gives it value. If it were really easy, then it would have no value, and you probably wouldn't be trying to do it anyway. So 10% 정도 알아들을 수 있는 팟캐스트나 유튜브 듣는 게 괜찮을까요? Whatever keeps you going, something that you're interested in. So if you really only understand 10%, I'm assuming that it's really hard to enjoy it. And the problem is if you don't enjoy it, if you can't enjoy the content, then you can't maintain it because it's not fun. And so I don't recommend it. Oh, so there's your answer. I don't recommend it. Find something that you can understand, something that you can enjoy more. Yeah. 유머 깔깔? Depends on what kind of things you find funny. Something I find funny may not, you may not find it funny, so. Be in good shape. 몸매가 좋다 의미인가요? 아니면 건강하다는 의미인가요? A little bit of both, but it certainly leans toward being describing health, good health. It's more about good health than having a toned body. Even though I consume videos in English on YouTube every day, talk in English with my daughter who is 6 years old, but still my English is not as good as kindergarten kids. Takes time. Takes time. All right. Okay, so woof, look at the time. It's midnight. I think we should call it a day, don't you think? All right. So I don't think I really need to... wait, should I? I guess why not? Since it's here. Okay. I will copy and paste this. I'm still kind of curious why we had that network issue before. Is it really because I changed that other setting? Anyway. Okay. Not so quick chat. Not so quick chat. Okay. All right. People are such babies. It's so hard. I truly believe that that is something that's really holding people back. People have so much strength in them, but I don't know why they don't make use of that. Wouldn't you agree? Well, a lot of people. It's so hard. Stop being babies. You just got here? Okay. All right, good night, everybody. Thank you for tuning in today. And be safe out there. It's going to be very, very slippery and dangerous out there. Even if you take all the precautions, even if you're super careful, other people, they will mess up. And so you really got to keep an eye on any sort of danger out there tomorrow, okay? Well, it's not even tomorrow. It's actually later in the morning. But be safe out there. I appreciate you spending time with me here. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great rest of your night if you're staying up. And I hope I can see you soon again in a future live stream or in a future lesson video. Have a good night, everybody. Where's the window?